Hello, this is Alejandro Bratti, Shanei Born, and CJ Kuzler from Believe in Yourself, Believe in Your Business, and welcome to the Spanglish World Network on Singo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download both the Singo TV app on the respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. The app is free. Singo TV is also available on Google Podcast, Amazon Fire, and Fire TV Sticks, Roku and Roku Sticks, also on all smart TVs. Today it's going to be amazing. We have several surprises for you. Thank you for connecting with us. The first surprise is we have Kevin Martin with us. He's a mindset coach. Thank you, Kevin, for accepting this invitation to be with us in this show. We are very glad that you are here with us. And I know that we know very well between us, but you don't know my two partners is CJ and Shanei. They are here, and we're going to be having fun today. I know that this is going to be amazing, and we have another surprise that we're going to be saying in the middle of the show. What is the thing that we are giving to the people here that is connected with us? We're really excited.
All right. Well, hi, CJ and Shanei. Very nice to meet you.
Hey, Kevin, pleasure to meet you, man. Happy you're here with
Nice to meet you too, Kevin.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on, and thank you, Alejandro, for having me on. I'm seeing your locations are in your name, so I'll just say for the listening audience, I am from the Boston area in the United States. So we represent four countries here. That's awesome.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have the United Nations here. So, Kevin, as we spoke, we always start this show with the story of where are you coming from. I know that you are doing amazing thing about this mindset coaching, but we want to know more about yourself. Okay, who was Kevin when you were a teenager, a child? What were the things that you were going through on that time? What happened in the middle? I know that your story is very powerful with your kid. What happened in the middle when you started to, okay, I need to change what I am doing now. You started to create some belief in yourself. So first, tell us about your story. Tell us about even the belief system, because today is going to be more interactive, I believe, with all the things that you are doing with the mindset. So thank you.
Sure. Okay. You mentioned, way back when I was a child, my story from the beginning. You just made me remember a funny story that I was told. I was born premature. I was born over 10 pounds at 8 months. So I was a big boy. And I heard stories about how people went to see me, and I was in an incubator just because it was the rule. But I was almost the size of the incubator. So I don't know if that's a metaphor for my life that I've been just almost the size of the environments that I've been in, or pushing the edges, pushing the envelope. But yeah, I'll give you a little bit of story. I'm a mindset coach. I use things like hypnosis and NLP, but I wasn't always that. I got into technology. I'm a techie by when I started out, and a bit of a nerd to begin with as well. So I started out in the technology and the software business. I have a software background. And my wife and I had been married early on when I started my career. And after 13 years, we didn't have any children. So we decided, let's try to, have children. We figured out that it was actually, my wife will tell you it was my fault. When I was younger, I loved riding the mechanical bull. So she says that's the reason why I can't have kids, is because I hurt myself. But yeah, I don't know if that's the truth. But we couldn't have children, so we went for adoption. And adoption, at the time, the most popular adoption is to go out and go to an agency that goes out to foreign countries and gets little babies, because my wife wanted a baby. But after 2 years, And we were told there's a long queue for that. After 2 years, they said, we lost all of your information and you'll have to get back in the queue. Oh my gosh, that made us so aggravated. So we actually went out and went to adopt older children through the social services. And it's funny because as we're doing this, I decided in whatever right mind I was in that it was time for me to get out of the software industry and wanted my own business. So I opened up a sales training franchise because I was really good at training, and at the time didn't know much about sales. But they said, "Hey, that's what we do for a living. We'll teach you how to sell, so you can teach other people how to sell." I said, "Well, okay, that's what we'll do." And I didn't know it at the time, but everything that I was learning and everything that I was teaching was neuro linguistic programming based. It's NLP is kind of a psychology, a science psychology of some sort. And so I went out there and I started working, and then we finally got to adopt a child, and he was 5.5 years old. And when he walked into our house, that very first day he walked into our house, as the forever family, that's how we put it. Uh, he was 5.5, and he had been in 7 homes before.
Wow.
So he brought in a lot. There's in several of the homes had been closed for abuse, and in at least one or two of them abuse on him. We didn't know all of it until a little later. But from the first day, he had emotional problems, and we couldn't really help him. Matter of fact, he said, "You'll never understand. You can never help me." At 5.5, I said, "Oh my goodness, what kind of child? What's going on?" But it got worse and worse until at 10 years old, and by then we had adopted two younger children. At 10 years old, he was so volatile and so aggressive and violent that we had to have him hospitalized, taken out of the house because and the doctors would tell us that he has to go into what we call a residential. It's kind of an institution for kids with behavioral issues, but there's schools there. It's not like a hospital. It's not a hospital by any means, but there's schools there, and everybody's a counselor and therapist and psychiatrist. And so we said, finally, we got the answer. He's going to finally get cured. We had him in therapy. We had some medications. Well, I tell you, when he started in there, they had a diagnosis of all sorts of things like PTSD, OCD, ADD, RAD, anything that ended with a D, it seemed like he
Okay.
had.
All that is possible.
Yeah. So anyway, they put him on a lot of drugs, but the thing is, he didn't get better. He continued to get worse. Matter of fact, in the first place he was in that he aged out of, he was the worst behaved kid. And in the second place that he was in until the age of 17, he was also the worst behaved kid. He would get hospitalized 5 to 6 times a year. Now, when you get hospitalized in those places, it's when they can't control you anymore. Here we are. We got all sorts of counselors and therapists and psychiatrists, and they can't control him, and they'd have to put him in a hospital and redo meds and everything. It was a tough time for us, but I had learned about this thing called neurolinguistic programming, and I had read up on it. Not only was it good for business, as I was doing in my sales training, but it was also good for clinical uses. So I said, oh, traditional therapy is not working for him. Maybe this will work. So I went and did my journey, my research. If you've ever heard of Tony Robbins,
Yes. Yeah.
I walked on fire. I climbed the 40-foot post and jumped off. I did all that stuff in search of finding how to work with my son. The only thing is, they don't teach you how to use the stuff. They actually use it with yourself. So I changed a lot. but I still hadn't found something for my son. Finally, I went and got training, and I hired somebody who was trained the same way, but very experienced. And I will tell you, at 17 years old, his therapist wanted him put away in a psychiatric lockdown. They
Wow.
couldn't deal with him anymore. So then he was going to move into a psychiatric hospital and be locked in and be put on even heavier drugs to sedate him so he couldn't harm himself or anyone else. So that's where he was headed. So by the time that happened, I hired somebody, and this person did 3 5-hour sessions with my son in 1 week's time, and it was all gone. It was all his violence, all his
Wow.
tendencies, all his emotional triggers, everything that we've lived with for the past
Wow.
12 years, that was all gone. And in that moment, it's probably the moment I took the therapist was threatening to take away our parental rights, and she said, "You have to cease and desist." And I said, "Don't worry, it's all done." And her jaw dropped. It's probably in that moment I said to myself, I want to do this to help other people. I
Mm.
want to have a career, and I want to be able to help other people like I've been helped here, like my son has been helped. And it was and I went back, finished my schooling, my training, and training never finishes in my profession. It's always there. I'm learning new things every year, but I've been doing it ever since. And let me close that story for you, because you're probably saying, well, did he really get better? And where is he now? What's he doing now? Well, my son is now, he was 17. My son is now 32 years old, and he's adopting a 7-year old of his own.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
So it's a wonderful, wonderful story. I have a grandchild that's being adopted that has maybe not the similar story to my son, but still a little bit of a tragic story. And so it's a beautiful circle, and it's an affirmation to me and my wife that we did the right thing, and we basically saved his life. I know he wouldn't have survived where he was going, and he's flourishing now. So it's so wonderful to have that happen for us, and it's an affirmation for me that I'm doing the right thing. When I whether I'm working with teenagers like my son was, or adults, or whoever I work with, because I work with a range of people from 7 8 years old all the way to I've worked with people in their 70s, and I love it. I love it. I'm really passionate about what I do. When someone walks in my door with a problem, and they're a certain type of person, and they walk out with the problem gone, and they're completely renewed, it just thrills me. I just love it. And this is all about belief right here, isn't it? So believe in yourself, believe in your business. There's a lot of people who come to me that don't believe in themselves. They haven't believed in themselves since they were children. And it's because of the things that they deal with. It's hard to believe in yourself when you have emotional issues coming up all the time, and you can't control it, or when you have behaviors coming up and you can't control it. How can you possibly believe in yourself? And so I've been working in that realm with helping people get back to the point where they can believe and love themselves again. So that's kind of my backstory and what's led me up to what I'm doing today. And I work mostly with business owners. And guess what I found out? I found out that people who run businesses and start businesses, and professionals at every level, I found out that they're human, and they have the same problems that the rest of us do.
Yeah.
and so, and a lot of times those problems will cause problems in their business. They'll cause them, if they can't fully believe in themselves, if they can't really have that good high self-esteem, it's hard to really run a successful business. And so it's hard to believe in your business if you don't believe in yourself, isn't it?
So, Kevin, just to go a little bit deeper in this
Sure.
part of believing yourself, what do you think is the belief system that every person has, and how you can improve that? Do you think that that can be improved? Of course, I know, but tell me your point of view of what happened with the belief system and how people can challenge that belief system that they have, how they can start to awake sometimes in the things that they are believing for the last 30 years or 20 years or 10 years. And suddenly, okay, there is some things that are strange that they have to start to notice, that are going to help them to start to see, like, okay, I have to change this behavior because this is not me. This is only a result of my belief system that is wrong.
Oh, I'm glad you asked that because it goes so deep into some of the stuff. First of all, the very first part of your question, what is a belief system that everyone has? Everyone has a set of beliefs that is different from everyone else.
Hmm.
That's the core thing because the beliefs that we have is created from our own experiences as we're growing up. We create our the majority of our beliefs in that early time frame from 0 to 8, 0 to 10 sometimes. So the majority of the beliefs are there, but they come from our experiences in what we're told and our parents, our authoritative figures in school. All those beliefs are formed there. Okay, so since we all have unique experiences, we're all unique. Our set of beliefs, though in general there may be some beliefs that are the same, but for the most part, our actual beliefs are different from each other. And I think well, the biggest problem we have is believing that everybody else thinks the same way we do.
Hmm. Wow.
Because when we do that, when I think, Alejandro, that you think the same way I do, and then you do something that goes up against my belief system, I start to judge and I say, well, you should know this because I know it, because I believe it, and
Mm.
yet you might not. You
Wow.
because we're different. So that's the first part. And can beliefs be changed? I kind of smile when you said that because that's what I do for a living. I absolutely have 100% belief that beliefs can be changed for each and every person that wants a change.
Wow.
And so, how do they identify it? You know, in NLP we have a set of principles. We call them presuppositions, but they're really principles for NLP and they're principles for life. And one of them says that if someone else can do something, it can be repeated. Somebody else can do it. So I look at it and say, okay, you think you can't do something. Is there anyone else doing it? Is there anyone else your age that's doing it? Is there anyone else with your education or even less education that's doing it? And probably in all cases,
Mhm.
you're going to find yes, it can be done by other people. So that those beliefs where we believe we can't do things, those are usually just limiting beliefs that are built up from some experience earlier in life or
Mm.
something someone told us.
Mm.
So, and yes, they, if done correctly, they can be changed rather easily. Now, natural change in beliefs happens all the time. If you, for instance, um, Alejandro, if you believed that I'm trying to look for something out of the blue. If you believed that Mercedes Benz was the absolute best car out there, and you believed that all your life, and maybe even owned one, and then you come upon an accident where you see the Mercedes Benz crushed, and you know that somebody got really hurt in it. All of a sudden, that intense emotional event will help change that belief, and all of a sudden, you'll start thinking, well, maybe the Mercedes Benz isn't the safest car. Maybe I should do the research and see what's even safer than that. Although you had been going through quite a few years of thinking maybe your father had told you that, and your aunts and uncles who drove them told you that, and you thought, hey, this is my belief. You thought it was absolutely true. That's what a belief is. It's where you think it's absolutely true. But the thing is, we have beliefs that are true to us, but they may be false
Mm.
because we haven't learned as much yet.
Right.
And so,
Not sometimes, but always, I believe.
yeah. So a lot of those beliefs are beliefs around what we can and cannot do, and it's the beliefs that we what we can't do, or maybe even some beliefs that we shouldn't do. Those are the beliefs that sometimes hold us back from doing what we want to do.
Mm.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, and quick question in regards of that again, because I know that there are some beliefs that we can say like, okay, I like to drink milk because that's the best thing for my bones and everything, and I can be having that belief. But if somebody tells me, okay, that's not true, and give me all the details, and I can be, yeah, it's true, so I can change that, and that's easy. So sometimes we think like, yeah, I can change my beliefs because this one is not that difficult, and I can change it. But when, for example, we can start about talking about religion, that is something like more deep, then suddenly changing some beliefs in that area could be more difficult, because
Yeah.
now that's really deep inside of me. That's who I am directly. So I don't we can change about the food, we can change about the exercise, we can change about all these things, but about this political side or this religion or these things, no, nobody can touch that because that's who I am, you
Yeah.
know?
I tell you, the life we're living in here in the U.S. right now, there is there is two sets of beliefs, and they conflict with each other. There's a conservative set of beliefs and a liberal set of beliefs, and it's really a major divide in our country right now. And either side, either 80 to 100% believe that certain things are right, but the other side will believe that the absolute opposite is right. And yet, you get two sets of beliefs thinking that it's 100% right, yet they're opposite.
Mm.
And and sometimes even proof in those cases, even what you think is proof is not seen as proof by that other person. So, for instance, in my religious beliefs, if you were to show me something, maybe historically, maybe this or that, that's proof that you think is proof that what I believe is not right. I'll look at it, and I'll look at it in a certain perspective to see how it actually fits in, and I can still believe what I want to believe.
Mm.
Okay. What I said earlier is people change their beliefs only if they want to change them.
Mm.
I
Wow.
can't work with anybody who has religious beliefs that they adhere to and change them. It's not that easy. For one thing, the way our beliefs are in our minds, they're they're programmed in our minds, and I we may not think of programming as too harmful as we did maybe in the 70s and 80s when we were talking about mind control. But truthfully, when we're growing up, our brain is being programmed. It's being wired. So our beliefs are wired, and there's a lot of evidence, at least what we think is evidence, to formulate those beliefs. Now, when you have faith, because there's a belief and then there's faith, and faith is belief, but faith is belief in something you can't prove or disprove, right? So that's the hardest belief to ever change.
Wow.
So, but other beliefs, like we have beliefs that are based on what we haven't experienced, but what we believe. It's like I believe that there's oxygen in the air right now because I've read it, scientifically proven it. But I can't right now prove it to you or myself because I don't have the equipment. I don't know how the know-how, but I believe it. But I also believe that I can make change in almost anybody who wants change and comes to me for it. Um, and the only time I'll disbelieve it is when I start seeing the opposite of what I believe. Okay, so yeah, belief is a really interesting thing. But I will tell you, if I believe that I can really work well with clients, it helps me really work well with clients. When I first started out, I was trained really well, and I actually worked with other students in my training, but it wasn't enough evidence for me to believe that what I was doing was worth, because of my inexperience, was worth a lot of money. So I'd give it away, if not, just charge really low money, because I didn't have a belief in myself, in my abilities to be able to perform at the level that the professionals do. It took me a little while to see that I was helping people left and right, and all of a sudden I say, well, yeah, okay, then yeah, I am good enough. So the beliefs can be formed over time, like that, but most of our beliefs that we've been living with are formed very early, and until there's an intense situation that disproves it, or until you get help to change it around. Now, believe in your business, because I've been talking about believing in yourself and believing in other things. When I believed in myself, my business actually picked up. My success rate even picked up. So I think you all talk about believe in your business, and when you believe in your business, you actually get better at it. But even more so, the people that you're doing business with see and feel that belief, and they believe it with you.
Mm.
Is that how you all look at it?
Mhm.
Yes, completely.
Yeah. So when I have my clients, that's what I look at too. Is I look at what they're doing and I help form beliefs. Now I was talking about getting rid of beliefs, and we can actually form new beliefs too. Believe it or not. Believe it or not, right?
Yeah.
Um, and it's not that hard. It's not that hard to do that with someone. Usually it's okay, I gotta give you 100% evidence that this is true. So how's someone in their business going to have 100% evidence that their business is going to be a success if they're just starting out? It's hard to get that evidence, isn't it? But if they can believe it truly in their mind, then they can actually manifest it while they're working.
So,
Yeah.
Kevin, I'm curious because I think this ties a lot to even self-limiting beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
um, and even self sabotage. So, in these cases, you talk about working with people who have a belief that they're aware of, that whether they want to deal with it or not. What about the self limiting or self sabotaging? Say, someone says, I believe I can make money, but there's this underlying program that says money's not good, money's evil, all these kind of things. And so, as much as they may want to believe in themselves, they never get ahead in their business because they're trying to believe in themselves, but they're believing money's bad. How do you get to the root of that, and how do you help them rewire their synapses and get things going on a self-sabotaging belief? How would you
Uh,
approach that?
what you stated, CJ, is so common with people, and it comes out in their businesses. If I will, I'll give you a story about one of my very first business clients, and he was incredible because he identified he was self sabotaging. He had a healthcare practice, and every time his practice got to a certain amount, 100,000 or somewhere around there, he'd find that he'd self sabotage, and his self sabotage come in the way of stopped doing the practices that brought him new clients. He stopped follow up on existing clients, and all of a sudden his clientele would drop, and of course his revenue would drop.
Hmm.
So I worked with him, and we identified that at 6 years old, he and his family had moved from Florida up to Massachusetts, and his parents were arguing. And his parents were arguing because his father had a very successful business in Florida until the business partner had done something, and it it blew up. So at that age, he got this belief that when you're too successful, things are going to happen and they're going to blow it up.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
even I would even say, and we didn't work on this part, but I would even say that it probably affected relationships as well. When you're too successful, things are going to blow up in relationships.
Hmm.
So that's where that came from. And after he cleared it, he didn't self sabotage. Matter of fact, it was less than a year later he moved out of the small place he was in one town and opened up an even bigger place in a bigger city, and got married a year later too. So it's that stuff comes from our young age. The stuff about money. How many of us grew up hearing our parents talk about money doesn't grow on trees? Money is the root of all evil. Those wealthy people are bad. They're cheaters. They're when we have thoughts of like that, and yet consciously we know we want to make money.
Hmm.
Subconsciously, it's back there saying, "Oh boy, if you make money, you're not going to be a good person. You're going to be evil, or you're going to, it's just not natural for you to make money." And it prevents them from making money when they have that. And a lot of us grew up with that.
Hmm.
So a
Yeah.
lot of us deal with those self-limiting beliefs, and so those self-limiting beliefs can be taken care of. You don't have to go to you don't have to go to find the root cause for most of them. With my client, it was self-sabotage, so I didn't know why he was sabotaging himself, but we figured that out.
Hmm.
But with beliefs in money and stuff like that, it's fairly easy to take care of. And if you if you wanted to, it's not a long process, but I could do a demo with one of you as well.
Amazing.
Hey, Kevin, I have a question for you. So let's say someone is going through a really tough time, let's say like a divorce and, there's kids. How would you help them to start believing in themselves and then also support their kids as well? Because I've seen it a lot of times, well, the divorce rate's really high, but how do you support your kids and yourself, whether you are um, learn a mother or a father? Like
Okay.
how would you help someone like that?
Sure, and I've had the occasion to help people going through divorce, and it really is about setting a belief. It really is. So, um, first of all, when you're going through a divorce and something like that, and depending on which side, and maybe even both sides, there's a lot of hurt that reaches down to self-esteem, right?
Yeah.
So you start to feel that you're not good enough. This didn't work out, and now we end up here. I'm not good enough as a wife or a husband, and then you start bringing it down to I'm not good enough as a parent. So that's
Yeah.
even worse. So take care of those beliefs, and actually, it always forms with me helping them create a brand new belief, helping them create something that's going to empower them.
Okay.
I am in a little almost micro level. I remember I was working with someone who was going through a divorce, and it was a really really terrible divorce, and they were thinking that they were going to lose full custody of their kids, and because they were going for I want partial custody. But on the male side in the United States, the mother usually, the courts usually, look at everything about the mother and give them custody. And
Yeah.
so I actually helped him form this belief that he's walking out of court and he's smiling, right? Because things went well. Now, I didn't say what went well, but we knew what his biggest thing is losing his kids, and there's no way he'd be walking out of court if he's losing his kids. And I said, like I said, this is a micro belief. This is a belief on a certain instance. Of course, I work on the beliefs in the whole. But that afternoon, he he took a selfie of himself walking out of court and sent it to me immediately, and it worked out where he was going to get half custody of his kids and a lot more freedom to do things with his kids than he thought. He thought he was going to lose them altogether. And see, having that limiting belief would have made him, all his decisions and everything he would have talked about would have been influenced by that limiting belief. It would have been influenced by fear. So I had to change his belief so that the fear went away. And then, he started acting and talking and doing things that were represented by the belief that he'll still have the ability to be with his kids. And it worked. So that gives you I wanted to give you a really specific example. But of course, the belief, of course, that you're good enough and you're a good parent and you can be, because when people go through divorces, the next step in their lives is, maybe a few years down the road, but the next step is relationships. And
Yeah.
people who have been through divorces have a hard time because of the belief in themselves getting into new relationships.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
So basically, the same thinking pattern apply to a child as what it would to a grown up, or would you like dial it down a little bit for a child? Like, how did you help your child?
Dial it down for a child. The story about my son, he was 17 years old. That's one of the reasons we were so successful, because he, even though he had all these behaviors, he wanted to be normal, what he thought was normal. He didn't
Yeah.
want those behaviors, and it worked for him. But when I'm working with a younger child, it's more or less creating those beliefs through imagery. And so I walk them through imaginary scenarios and stories where the behavior or the belief is found in the story. So they pick that up because, especially if it's younger children under 10, they're at the age where they're still learning and their brain is still being wired. So I help wire it to the point where they believe in themselves as much. And of course, what happens to children, and we don't know any better, and our parents didn't know any better. But when we're trying to keep them straight and narrow, and we don't want them to get in trouble, and we don't want them to get hurt, we start saying things like, okay, you're bad. When they do it, instead of saying you're doing something bad, we would say you're bad. You're such a bad boy. And we don't separate the behavior from the person.
Wow.
Big problem with raising children is being able to separate the behavior from the child.
Yeah.
So we don't do it on purpose, but what happens is the child grows up and they, just like the money thing, right? Just like the money thing, CJ, they've
Mhm.
heard these things. They've heard we're bad, we're stupid, we can't do this. And it's not just from the parents, it's from it's from their peers, their friends, their teachers, whatever it is. And they've got all that in there. And it's so hard for them to get away from those beliefs.
Yeah.
So with children, I should start reshaping those beliefs easily. But it's done with stories. It's done with imagery. It's done with all sorts of tales that children like. You can even I've even used video games. If I have a child that loves video games, I'll actually use scenarios in the video games to put across the points and the theme of changing beliefs. So
Yeah.
it's really a lot of fun.
So this is awesome. We want to go directly to, because the reason for this show for us is really we believe in the people that is listening to this show. We are trying to bring the best people that we reach to uh, to talk. So one of the things that we are started to do is think how we can help you further. Like not only being here in the chat and having this discussion, but how we can start to help you in your business. You know that there is some lead generation. I have some people that knows what is lead generation. I know that there is some people that doesn't know anything about it. Lead generation. What are you talking about? What is a lead? What is a generation? It's something. So if you are thinking on starting your business, or you are thinking that okay, I have my business but it's not an online business and I don't understand how to start this online business, we created this page, www.dmsnapshot.com. So, Shanei, tell us a little bit about what we are going to be talking there, and we are going to come back to some questions.
Hi.
Hi. If
It's
you want to know how to get your business online and profitable in only 5 steps, then click on the link below, fill in your information, and get instant access.
Okay,
Okay,
cool.
cool.
So what this course is about is it is a digital marketing snapshot. It's called like DMS, and it's a short video series, and it is perfect for people who is entering the entrepreneurial life. And it is also perfect for people who have an existing company and they just want to expand their profits, especially online. So it's a really short video series. There's like 6 or 7 chapters, and most of the videos are under 5 minutes, so it's really good and digestible. And what you can do is you can literally view a couple of seconds, you can stop, you can implement, and then you can move forward. So it's really a practical course that you can implement today. And yeah, I think it is amazing thing to do for your business and yourself, just to get you, propel you forward. So yes, I think you guys are under the screen. I'm hearing myself twice. uh,
A little bit of technical issues there. It's bound to happen when we do shows live. But basically, the video comes from what Sinead's sharing about is this short, very easily implementable videos series that really low cost, $10 to get your hands on this. And there's a lot of amazing value. A couple minutes per video, you can put these things into action right away and start growing a business. And if you have a business, start to grow your business and to scale it. So the heart behind this is really to share with you guys how you can grow. And this is a mindset piece as well, just believing that it is possible and it doesn't have to be hard. It's very quick and the implementation is very fast. So the video just is a sharing of dmsnapshot.com, and that's a digital marketing snapshot. It's really just like your quick picture, real quick access to get going, get started, and get growing. So again, that's dmsnapshot.com. And the video that we were trying to share, you can see that there. And would love to come back to you now, Kevin, just what you were sharing there.
Sure.
Yeah. So, Kevin, going back to your story, when you are like in the believing your business, because I know this show started believing yourself, because if you're not believing in yourself, I know that you can go far with your business. Really, it's going to be like a lot of troubles. And some people say like, okay, I already believe in myself because I have a business, it's successful. What can you say to them about their belief system and the things that they need to change if they want to go further, you know?
Yeah, if someone wants to go to that next level, okay, uh, I typically just assess what their beliefs are around themselves and around what they can do in their business. And that's where we find the actual limiting beliefs, the self-limiting beliefs, because that limiting belief really gets in the way of things. And
Mhm.
by the way, it's not just the limiting beliefs in the business. The home life, whatever's going on in the home life, just seeps into the business. If you're running your business and something's going wrong at home, it actually impacts your business. So also not just the beliefs, but dealing with the stress and anxiety that are coming in is also something that I help clients with. And yeah, to a degree, there's also beliefs around whatever it is that's happening that increases the stress and anxiety. So to a degree, it's also beliefs there too.
That's really interesting, Kevin, that you say that, because some of the premise behind when we say believe in yourself, believe in your business, we believe that the two are intrinsically connected together. And the idea that how you do one thing is how you do everything. What I am curious about is why someone might succeed in one realm of life, whether it be their health, their marriage, their business, their faith life. They'll succeed in this area, but be absolutely terrible in all their others. They'll be a great business person, but their marriage is on the rocks, or their marriage is great and their business is on the rocks. So where we see there's this kind of disconnect between how you do one thing. Could you speak to that?
Sure, I sure can. And it's a little bit about beliefs because if you have a belief in yourself when it comes to one area, you may have it's like, okay, say I believe that I'm really really good at, at the business, right? I'm really good at what I do and everything else, but I have a hard time, and I believe that it's so hard for me in my health. So it really is a set of beliefs around all the areas. But I'll go a little further because when it comes to mindset, Carol Dweck, who wrote the
Mhm.
book Mindset,
Yeah.
she talks about two mindsets. One of them is a fixed mindset, and one of them is a growth mindset.
Mhm.
Now, the fixed mindset says that I'm good in these areas, but I'm not good in other areas.
Right.
Does that sound like belief? It certainly is, right? So they have evidence to themselves that they're really good in certain areas, but they're not so good in other areas. And by the way, those other areas I'm not going to even try because it doesn't feel good when I don't succeed. So I'll just stay in the one areas most of the time and just excel there. So that's a fixed mindset. A growth mindset says, um, it's pretty healthy. It says I can be really good at a lot of things. And if I'm not good, why wasn't I good? And can I do better? Can I learn and do better? That's a growth mindset.
Mhm.
Always looking to grow, to learn, and not really having failure affect them. That, by the way, is a very healthy self esteem when failure in any area of your life doesn't affect you. When your self esteem is that good, that means that you can be good in any area of your life because you don't consider yourself a failure anywhere. You consider yourself a work in progress. So there's two belief systems going on. One is a set of beliefs that I'm good at only certain things and I'm not good at others. That's the beliefs of a fixed mindset. The other is that I may not be good at this, but perhaps just a little learning and training, and I can be much better.
Mm.
That's a growth mindset and a healthy self-esteem. One of the exercises I used to do with my sales clients is I said, okay, imagine yourself out on this beautiful island. You're by yourself. It's a gorgeous day. It's the sand is beautiful. There's everything you want there, but you're by yourself, and you don't have any roles. You're not a husband or wife, a father, or mother. You're not the son of anyone. You're not an employee. You don't run a business. You have no roles at all, but you're just there enjoying yourself. It sounds like the ideal thing, but do you know how many people really don't feel good because they put so much on their role of being a parent or being a business owner or being this or that? If they don't have that, they don't feel good about themselves.
Wow.
That is an indication of poor self-esteem, which is also the indication of that fixed mindset. They need to have that thing that they do well to feel good.
Wow, that's amazing, Kevin.
So,
Yeah, it's
Kevin,
interesting.
tell us a little bit of how people can connect with you, can know more about you, know about all the stuff that you are doing. I know
Oh,
that you also have a partner that you're working together. So tell us a little bit about that.
sure, sure. The business is Peak Performance Mindset Coaching, which the website is the exact same thing, www.peakperformancemindsetcoaching.com. And I'm the co-founder with Lisa Schermerhorn. Lisa and I did a little work together a few years ago in a virtual reality business, building, hypnosis type of things in virtual reality. And then that actually, when we met again a year later, we decided to build a coaching business. She has a similar background that I do, maybe a lot more energy and shamanic stuff, but we've both been helping people for 15, 20 years doing this stuff. And we said, let's go out and help business people build their businesses from the mind up, from the mindset up. Because I've found that no matter how much skills you have, no matter how good your business plan is, no matter how much money you have, no matter how good your service or product is, if you don't have that belief, if you don't have that proper mindset, you're not going to succeed like you want to succeed.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's so true.
So the website is peakperformancemindsetcoaching.com. My email is just as long and just as easy. It's Kevin at peakperformancemindsetcoaching.com. And if anyone wants to reach out with me, I do offer for people, business professionals that want to get to know what I do, I offer a free coaching session. So unfortunately, I'm not bi or trilingual. I only speak English. I can gather some words. I took 12 years of French, believe it or not, and I can only say two sentences in it. I'm sorry, CJ. I don't know if you're in the French part of Toronto, uh, but yeah, 12 years in parochial school in a French school, and I can only speak two sentences. That's pretty bad. But it's not a belief. I know if I really wanted to, I can go out and learn French. But yeah, if people want to connect with me, they can reach out to me in my email, and if they want to try a free session with me, it's perfect and there's no obligation whatsoever.
Awesome, Kevin. Do you have any final words that you want to say about this and why people need to work in their mindset to improve their life and their business and everything?
Absolutely. And my final words come from what you guys are doing. This whole concept of believe in yourself is primary for anyone, anywhere on this planet,
Yeah.
right? If you don't have that belief in yourself, you're not going to be able to build the kind of life you want or be as happy as you want to be. And believing in your business is key. Believe in yourself and believe in your business is going to allow you to really excel, get to that next level. So I love what you guys are doing. I love what you guys are promoting, and just being able to shape those proper beliefs and have the proper mindset, the optimal mindset will give everyone the ability to get that peak performance that they want.
Thank you so much, Kevin. We really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you, and I love being here. Thank you all for having me here. It's been quite the honor and a lot of fun.
No, for me, it's like it was so quick. It's like time happened so fast. We can go another hour here, but
Yes.
it was amazing, Kevin. Thank you for your time, for your wisdom, and everything that you share. Uh, okay, and even the production is saying if we want to be longer. I don't know if you have time or if people in the audience want to say ask for something.
Sure, I have some time to stay a little longer if that's what you want to do.
Okay, CJ, any further questions for Kevin? You can use the time here. And even for the audience, we are going to have some minutes more here. So we have time to be speaking more with Kevin. If you have any question, just post a comment in Facebook, in LinkedIn, wherever you are listening. You can put the comments there, and we will have like another 20 minutes here just to be talking between us. So this is great.
Well, that's interesting, Alejandro, because the gift that keeps giving. I have a call right after this, so I'm going to actually have to hop off, friends. But um, hate to be the bummer. But Kevin, I'm so grateful for the time that I have had and the questions that you do answer. I'm going to be checking out later. So again,
Yeah.
gratitude, my friend.
All right, thank you, CJ. It's been wonderful to meet you, and I love the questions you have.
Thank you so much.
Okay, there is a
Okay.
question from the Facebook. There is people who are at the beginning of their business and arm rest not being successful.
Just probably aren't being successful. What advice would you share?
Okay. Um, I would say, okay, look at your belief in what you're doing. Your belief, by the way, by itself is not, maybe there's something that you're not doing correct. But look at, are you losing belief because it's not successful? And go back to your original thoughts. And actually tell couples this too, because when they get to the point where things aren't working out, go back to your original thoughts and what you were thinking when you were getting together. So in your business, what was that motivation? What was that spark that you saw at the beginning when you started that business? Okay, you had a belief. Go back there, bring it in, think a lot about it, and see, does this still apply? Is there things that have come up that are showing you different? Sometimes when we're on our journey, when we're on a path, sometimes we are given a fork in the road, and what we were originally going for may not have been the best. And that's where you really have to sit back and analyze, but do it from the point where you had that original spark, whatever it is that got you juiced about what you're doing in your business. Go back to it, bring it up, think about it, and then look at where you are today. That will help you say, okay, do I want to continue this? Maybe I've missed something. Or is there something different I should be doing?
Awesome. Go ahead, Shani.
No, no, I don't have any other questions. But it's so difficult. It is so important to remind yourself of your why and go back to your goals and how to achieve certain things. That is, that's also, part of driving yourself to be successful, and
Mm,
it sort of marries your belief system in order, for you to believe in yourself that you can actually do this and create the belief for your business, especially if people are working under you. You have to help them to believe that they can achieve their goals. So yeah, that is really powerful.
yeah, with anyone that I work with, it's I have to bolster their belief
Mm.
first, right? And and that actually helps them, like I said, act differently, do things differently. But I love Shania, that you mentioned the why. One of the other parts of my business is actually I'm a why coach. I help people discover their why. Now, not the why you got in business, the why you're working, but the why you do the things you do since you were since you were small. So I help
Yeah.
people discover their why and their what and their how. So why I do the things, what I really do to what I have to offer, and how I do them. Once they can discover that and align it in what they're doing for business, and it's incredible how things change because that actually starts to formulate a new belief, right? And so when you have that thing aligned about what's deeply driving you and how you do the things you've been doing all your life, and you align it with what you're doing in your business, it forms a belief that yes, this is really right for me. This is right for my clients and all that. And it's amazing what just that revelation does for people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
And
mean,
I
it's just amazing to see, how far you can go with your belief. Because I mean, if you are a child and you have this big dream and you actually pursue that dream, the possibilities is just endless.
Yes, yes. And it's I love that. I was working with someone today. I had met 3 or 4 years ago. He was a young man just out of college, and we were doing admissions to a business group in Boston, and he was volunteering, and he was telling me about his dream. He has a dream of creating an eco-friendly, on-demand cleaning company. He says
Wow.
that's what he wanted. And I thought that was kind of interesting from like a 21-year-old at the time. He's out of college. He's working in a corporate environment. So I caught up with him, or he caught up with me, and we just had another conversation. And he's done many jobs, and because of pandemic, lost some jobs, and he's done several other jobs. But you know what? The exact dream he had 4 years, 3 or 4 years ago, is still in his mind. Matter of fact, he's taken action towards it now. And
That is
I
wonderful.
said that is so incredible. You have such a spark and a burning desire that it's been there all along, and finally you're at a point where you're out of work, and you finally decided this is what I'm going to do. And I thought it was just incredible because it was that burning desire, and his belief in what he wanted to do hadn't changed a bit. Matter of fact, it had grown through other stories and other people he's contacted with. And
Yeah. If you
and
were made to do something, you need to do it. You need to act on your assignment.
yeah, and especially if they've been with you for a long time and you still are excited about them,
Yeah.
go out and take some steps and do that. See, I didn't have to do anything with this person's belief because he believed he could do it. The belief was just as strong, if not stronger. It was when we met a few years ago, and I'm really fortunate to he invited me into his life to help him out. So I'm going to be helping him in some shape or form to start to get his business off the ground. And you know what I've started with? His mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. But starting with your mindset is the quickest way to grow in business, because you have to believe that you can achieve certain goals, and
Yeah,
then it's much easier to put those goals into actionable steps so that you can actually achieve it. Because otherwise you are just struggling with other traffic in your mind that says, no, you can't do this because of this and this and this, and what will people think if I do this? All these developed traffic thoughts in your mind takes your highway space up, and then you can't think clearly on the thing that you have to focus on to make things happen. So
exactly.
yeah, it is amazing, and it's so important to clear your mind of all the garbage so that you can focus on the right things.
Right. If you want, I can share a little technique that I do with a lot of my clients. It's really around building that belief. So it helps a lot when you can visualize, when you can get an image in your
Mhm.
mind of having achieved it, already having achieved it. right? What's it going to feel like when you've achieved what you wanted to do? Whether it's, you want to get this small business up and running and you've got clients and you've got people working for you. What's it going to feel like when you realize, oh my God, I have achieved this dream? What are you going to be doing? What are you going to be looking like? Who are you going to be with? You really make a vivid story and image in your mind. Now, not everybody can see things really easily visual, but most of us can. But what about the feelings you're going to be feeling when you're there? You know, and what are people going to be saying to you about having done that? You go through the entire thing and you run it through your head every day for a little while, for a few weeks. And that image in visualization will be so vivid and sharp that your mind, your subconscious mind, will believe that you're there, and actually have you start acting and speaking and doing things uh, that you will be doing when you get there. So you'll,
Exactly.
and it creates that belief, because all of a sudden you start to believe, say, wow, I've gone through this so many times. Yes, I've done it. I've done it. I have. You want to know how strong belief is? I it was in one of my workshops. I was doing something on belief, on something like this, and a gentleman was in there, and he had this really strange goal. He says, "I want to go to Vietnam," and I believe it was the world's best sunset. It could have been sunrise, but sunset. He studied it. He's seen pictures of it, and he's heard all about it. And his one of his lifelong dreams was to go there and experience it. So what I did is I walked them through a little exercise where he had it so vivid in his mind. And I do this exercise to really increase their belief. So I walked them through the whole thing of being there, and doing that. And afterwards I tested and I said, well, how is your belief that you're going to be able to accomplish this? And he said something that threw me off. He says, I'm not. I said, what do you mean you're not? This never happened to me. It's always like, oh, I really believe. He says, I just did it and I no longer have to. He made it so vivid and real in his mind that the experience that he wanted to have, he had right then and there in that room in the workshop, and he no longer needed to do it. And I thought that was so profound. So
It is.
when you're putting images in your mind, you really can do some big things. It's not just, oh yeah, I'm just thinking about this. No, 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 no. You really can make some big changes deep down, which will impact your belief and it'll impact the results you end up getting.
Correct. Yeah, that's really awesome. I'm definitely going to try that out on myself.
Definitely, it is so cool. It is so cool to do. Um, I've done it with so many things, and biologically, you're actually programming your mind and your reticular activating system to be looking for the things, the opportunities to get you there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So things that you wouldn't see that have always been there, you'll start seeing them. You start noticing them. You're going to start finding opportunities, and you're going to start having that ability to move closer and closer to your goal. And
Mm.
it's just it's so wonderful. I love what I do because there's so many incredible, cool things that if people knew how to work in their mind, they'd be able to get phenomenal results, massive results in their life.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, that's where the focus is.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So it's really cool. Alejandro, did you have something?
Yes, quick question, because I know that right now there is a lot of people that is struggling with this pandemic and all the mental health that is affecting. And I'm not going to enter if a vaccine is good, is not, if the things that happen are good or not. But what can you say that I know that there is a lot of beliefs that are started to be created around the world and around everybody, and that's why there is a lot of like problems between one another. So if you are vaccinated, you are this person. If you are not, you are this person. And it's like happening in all the areas, like so. And I know that, for example, even the kids are suffering. That, okay, for example, my little one has 4 years old, and he's like, okay, I don't know why I have to use a mask, because when I am using a mask, I can breathe clearly and I can talk
Yeah.
clearly. So he decided I am not going to talk. Like,
Yeah,
as simple as that.
it's
So
it's been a problem around the world. It really has, and there's probably nothing I can say that's not going to cause somebody to be triggered because one way or another. But I will tell you, yes, it has caused a lot of stress, and a lot of strain, and for a lot of people. I have been going through this period with the minimal stress because I say, okay, I know that there's something out there, and I know that there's a chance that I could get it. But I looked through and I said, okay, what's the chances of me getting it? I'm a little in the older group, and I've got some of the things, but still, the chances of me being severely um, uh, affected by it are probably not that bad. So I wasn't living shaking and nervous and everything, which allowed me to get through this pandemic really well. The governments, and I know the United States, when it first came out, it was basically creating fear, and I don't think it was done on purpose until they wanted people to actually be safe, and they figured the best way is to make sure they create fear, and I don't know that that was the best way, but and all of a sudden we're isolated, and we're told about on a daily basis how many people are dying. It is not a. I tell my clients, stay away from the news because you're going to hear bad news. But this is like bad news several times a day, every day for months on end. So what does that do to this? It creates a lot more fear. It creates a lot more stress, and people who didn't have mental health disorders now have mental health disorders. People who had mental health disorders got a lot worse. The suicide rate went up and everything. And you know what? The pandemic was real. People died. People were susceptible to a lot of things. But you got to look at yourself. Okay, how much do I have to fear? How much do I have to fear? Right? I actually caught what my doctor thought was a undiagnosed COVID in 2 weeks before it got announced that it was in the United States. And yeah, I was really, really, really ill until I went to the doctors and I realized that I hadn't hydrated and I hadn't done the right stuff, and I got better. But I was about as ill as I've ever been, and so that actually maybe put me in a mindset that, oh yeah, I've already had it, and I can deal with it if I have it again because I already know how bad it is. As opposed to the unknown, where I'm told that people are dying, that I'm going to be afraid that if I get it, I'm going to die. So I had an advantage there, but it's all in belief. It really is. And don't, I'm not saying believe that it's harmless. And I'm also not saying believe that it's really fatal because depending on what age group you're in, it's really not that fatal for certain age groups, and not that harmful. And if you're careful, if you stay away from the older people, if you're doing things that are careful, it's all about alleviating your own stress and your own anxiety. Then, if you can walk through with little stress or little anxiety, you can make decisions a lot better. If you're using the fear, you're not making good decisions. If you're using a uh, an unlimited lack of fear, where you say I'm impervious to this, you're also not making good decisions. You just got to get rid of as much of the stress and anxiety so you can make the good decisions. That's the only
Yeah.
way I can have something for this. I'm sorry.
No, no, and that's exactly what I wanted to share because I don't want to be disrespectful with the people that lose somebody because of this
Right.
or in all the areas, but I really believe that this is affecting the mental health of people. People is like so involved in the fear that you can like take the best decision for your life, your business, your the strategies that you need to take, and that's why I bring that to the table to talk a little bit about that. Just remember, if you are like trying to work out of fear, then things are not going to be the best version of yourself, but it's going to be another version of yourself.
Right.
So that's exactly what I'm talking about. This I don't want to be like in one side and the other, and I am this or I am the other one, and I am trying to fight
I
with
will.
one.
I will mention one thing. Hey, you're working with your fear and the fear of other people, right? So if I'm in the area where people seem to be afraid, me walking through without a mask and going up to anyone and doing everything is going to cause them more fear. So I am going to be aware and appreciative of what everybody else is thinking as well, and I will be as careful as I need to be.
Yeah, exactly. So really, Kevin, I know that this was amazing. We got some more minutes to be talking about all these amazing things. So
I thank you
really,
for that. Yeah.
really thank you. It was amazing, and I know that we're going to have you very soon again in the show because it was great. Uh, Thank you, Shanei, for being here. I know that CJ had to go to another call like at the next second, but
Yeah.
we are thankful for everybody that is here listening to us. Really, we are bringing the best people to be with you and start to help you to improve and have awareness in different areas of your life. It could be health, it could be mindset, it could be your business strategies, different things.
Hmm.
So remember, dmsnapshot.com is a page that you can use to start to get more information about ourselves and how we can help you with your business and start to believe in yourself. And we are believing in yourself and we are believing in your business. So that's why we are creating this. Kevin Martin already shared his pick. Pick what? Please tell me your website.
The website,
Yeah,
it's www.peakperformancemindsetcoaching.com.
awesome, Kevin. So thank you very much. This
Thank
show
you.
can be this show can be also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thank you all.